to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friends through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
Do you think Professor X and Magneto had a secret love affair?
I think it's very possible. And joining us to talk about said secret love affair, despite the lack of Magneto this episode, is our friend Andrew, returning from our new Teen Titans episode. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome back, Andrew.
Hey, Magneto's always there. He's always watching.
Absolutely. Speaking on, so you bring up a secret love affair. We know that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are in love with each other.
Yes. I mean, look, I don't think you can watch any of the X-Men movies with Stewart and McKellen and not come away with that reading. They just
honestly, even McAvoy and Fassbender, they're kind of there. But yeah, we're talking about we're continuing our Marvel block today, our third Marvel episode. We're reading our second mini block within the Marvel block. It's tough to describe. We're just talking about the Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, Volume 1. This covers Giant Size X-Men number 1 and X-Men numbers 94 through 100. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about them today. And Jacob, I know you were really excited.
I was so excited.
X-Men. Let's get into our non-spoiler discussion. Jacob, what is the first volume of the Uncanny X-Men about?
Well, the good news is comics have progressed about a decade.
Yep.
So they're easier to read now. Shock of all shocks. When you're not written by Stan Lee. But the X-Men was a team that ran for like 40-something issues, and then the book didn't get canceled, but it got delegated to just being reprints.
I think it was actually 60-some issues that were original stories, and then it got changed to reprints.
So a bunch of issues, and then it's just reprints.
Yeah,
and then in the 70s, somebody at Marvel went to one Len Wein and was like, hey, why don't we revive the X-Men with a whole new team and a whole new book? That book ran exactly one issue and then got canceled.
It's so funny. You talk about that origin story of the book for the new X-Men. It's very similar, oddly enough, to the new Teen Titans origin story, like how that came about to exist. Yeah. Which brings us also to why Andrew is guesting on this episode once again, because much in the way that I believe New Teen Titans is one of your favorite DC books, this I believe is one of your favorite Marvel books. Maybe your absolute favorite. Is that accurate?
Absolute favorite comic run of all time. Yeah.
Okay, that's high praise indeed. I've read a fair bit of it. Not as far as as the whole thing, because
this is one of those massive runs that's what
17 years.
17 years, yeah. So
17 years, yeah. It's pretty big.
Now the first couple years of that, the book is on bi-monthly, and I will say when you're starting the run, you can feel it's a bi-monthly book, like in sort of a critical way. It genuinely feels so. Len Wein writes Giant Size X-Men, the quote-unquote double-length special. It's really like triple length, but most of that when it was first published was taken up by reprints. So it's really like what, a 38 page story, something like that. Yeah. So it's about approximately double length of your standard issue. Not quite. And then he had plotted out an issue 2 that then just got folded back into, why don't we just make the X-Men book a new book? Keep the numbering from the reprints. So like X-Men 94 is the first original story in a very long time for this particular title. And the title was every other month. And Len Wein couldn't keep up, so they brought in a young Chris Claremont.
Yes, the man,
legend.
Yeah, he's pretty great. It's so interesting because did you ever actually end up reading his introduction? Then
I
afterwards,
did, and he
Jacob?
is very harsh.
He's so hard on himself. I don't know why.
It's hilarious because the Omni has an introduction for Volume 1 by Claremont and by Stan Lee.
That's for Volume 2.
No. Volume 1 has a Stan Lee introduction.
Okay.
Written like 5 years before the Claremont introduction, and it's Stan Lee being like, "This is amazing, dear readers. I'm a salesman."
It's so funny that in Claremont's introduction, he's like, man, it's so wordy. It's such a wordy book. And like for us, we just came off of reading Stan Lee's Spider-Man. I'm like, trust me, Chris, you're fine.
You are fine. You are fine.
You don't have to worry.
You're not only sub Lee levels of wordiness, you're sub Stern levels of wordiness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Claremont's narrative voice is much stronger than Lee's too.
Oh, it is. It is very strong.
Yeah. Actually, who is wordier, Lee or Stern, in your opinion, Jacob?
Oh, Lee. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I think even just by word count per issue, like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
literal, just, yeah, because Lee's just, I'm going to keep a sentence going, even though the art is doing the storytelling for me. But yes, so we introduce an all new team, basically, with
the all new, all different X-Men.
Yes, a great tagline. This is the first, this is basically the first
time like a team had been like fully reinvented in this way, pretty much.
Yeah, because this predates New Teen Titans by like
almost
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's so yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because we're 70. We're starting in 75.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is that like this volume is basically the first full year of the run, because it started in mid 75. This volume goes till mid 76, and Claremont kind of has an uphill battle. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah. Like, he's fighting quite a few things. He's fighting the bi-monthly schedule, and he's fighting a very small page count for this book.
A very small page count, and to add to that, his first issue is issue 94. He's got 6 issues.
You have to sell that as a starting point, pretty much.
You got to sell that as a starting point, and you got to make issue 100 big.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I will say, the X-Men as a team, I was actually quite familiar with.
I mean, movies are popular. I'm assuming
the movies are popular. The movies, as well as the 90s animated show, which I never saw completely.
I actually didn't realize you'd watched that.
I'd watched it around the time the three of us first met. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
That far back.
Wow, that's a while.
That's a while ago. I don't remember it much. I know it's now on Disney Plus.
I highly recommend going back to it.
Look, we'll probably do a bonus episode.
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing last year. It's good. It takes quite some time to get going, in my opinion. But I know, Andrew, you're a big fan of it, right?
Yeah, I love it. I think seasons 1 through 3 are probably like the strong point, like the crux of the show.
See, I really enjoyed season 4, actually. Personally.
What story was like the main plot in that?
That was what was it? I want to say it was wasn't that one Dark Phoenix that they did? They did sort of a Dark Phoenix thing.
I don't know. The whole episode numbering is different depending on where you look at it. So some things will say, "Oh, it was all in season 3 for the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix," and some split them to 3 and 4.
Okay, so I think the way they have it on Disney Plus was that Phoenix was season 4, I believe. I want to say that's accurate, or I could be totally wrong. Maybe it was season 3 that I'm thinking of. I don't know.
The Phoenix stuff really well.
Someone will correct me.
Someone will correct you.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, shall we get into some Twitter questions?
Yes.
I have to choose this as our first one. From Pinot Graham @Pinot Graham says, "Is Nightcrawler sexy?"
I mean,
inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know. I mean, I mean,
what Nightcrawler are we talking about? Just comic Nightcrawler?
That's a good question.
Portrayal of Nightcrawler, because like the one is played by Alan Cumming.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andrew, thoughts on this?
Well, see, here's the question: does finding Nightcrawler sexy make one a furry? Because he calls himself blue and fuzzy, which implies there's hair all over.
Ah, that is the question. That, you know what? This has raised a bigger question than I thought, and I'm not comfortable answering any of this. So we're going to move on.
This is going to go down a rabbit hole. But the answer is I think it's just an objective yes.
Okay, fair enough. Our friend Kian at Kian the Quark says, "My favorite non-political comics." So true, friend. So true.
Yeah, no politics. I mean, actually, the early parts of the run are arguably like less political.
Yeah.
Interestingly, which I found interesting. Mainly the first story. I was kind of shocked at what Giant Size X-Men #1 is.
Oh yeah. But anyway, Kian also says favorite X-Men costume, and therefore the one you're most disappointed not being translated to live action.
Oh, Wolverine's orange and brown suit.
Ooh, I do like that. I do really like that. I'm a big fan of I honestly the Storm costume from these early issues. Actually, I really
the Storm costume's great. I also think you could do something really fun with Nightcrawler's costume, like translating that to live action. And making it work. I will say
there's that beautiful shot at the end of Days of Future Past where they all have really great comic accurate costumes, and then they just never come back in Dark Phoenix. It's fucking crazy. Or wait, no. They never come back in Apocalypse, I believe, right? Or no, sorry. That shot is at the end of Apocalypse, and they never show up in Dark Phoenix. Haha, I can remember X-Men movies.
I haven't actually seen X-Men Apocalypse. I have seen the original trilogy and Days of Future Past. And
wait, you've seen Days of Future Past, but not First Class?
Don't ask.
Dude, First Class is literally my favorite X-Men movie. It's so fucking good.
Look, people say it's great. I just never got around to watching it.
It's got Kevin Bacon as a Nazi, man. Come on.
I know. Well, I didn't know that. I knew Kevin Bacon was in it. I've also seen, that one.
Oh, that one could be a lot of X-Men movies, man.
Oh, it's the first
X-Men Origins?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay. See, for me, that one is The Last Stand.
Hey, I love that movie.
No, The Last Stand is bad, Andrew. Fuck off.
No, it's good. My opinions are bad, but the movie's good.
No, it's so bad, man. Anyway, our next question comes from Jamie at Jamie_season7 says if Krakoa, I've never known how to pronounce this out loud actually. Andrew,
I want to say Krakoa.
Krakoa.
Okay. Is the island that walks like a man? Who is the man who that walks like an island? To which Kian replied, the Blob.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna say Wolverine, going with the symbolic lonerness of his character.
Did you just call me Blob? No, I said Bub. It's fucking iconic. I love that scene.
Gold.
God damn it. Okay. Moving on to Mason at the GD256 has a couple questions for us today. Says first one is best and worst member of the team. Let's try to restrict it to just this volume, though I will probably allow some leeway for Andrew, knowing more of the run than either of us.
You know who the worst is?
Who's the worst?
It's Thunderbird.
Yeah.
It's Thunderbird. Which
poor
is like
poor Thunderbird.
That's a shame.
Poor guy.
I'm not sure who the best is.
Just from this volume, I think my favorite, probably Cyclops. If we're just going by this first volume,
I was gonna say either Cyclops or Colossus.
Yeah. Colossus gets a lot of great moments in these early issues.
Yeah.
Andrew?
In these issues, I think probably Nightcrawler for favorite. He just has a lot of standout moments. He's comic relief without being over the top. For least favorite, in this volume specifically, probably Thunderbird.
Poor Thunderbird.
Poor dude.
Poor guy. What a guy. Oh man, and that's all we can say without spoiling it. But just poor guy.
Poor guy.
Mason.
I blame Len Wayne. Oddly enough, which is...
yeah. More on that in spoilers. His second question says, best and worst movie in the franchise. The worst, and you cannot fight me on this, is The Last Stand.
I will fight you on this. It'll be it's X-Men Origins Wolverine.
X-Men Origins Wolverine at least has some solid performances. Last Stand is so fucking bad, though.
I also have not seen Last Stand in at least a decade.
Wait, what was that, Andrew?
CG Patrick Stewart. Your point's invalid.
I'll take CG Patrick Stewart over that fucking terrible portrayal of Juggernaut.
Not the Juggernaut, bitch.
True.
Yeah, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Oh man, my favorite though, I already said this, First Class.
My favorite is probably Days of Future Past.
Solid choice.
I remember. I will say a lot of the X-Men movies I've only seen once or twice.
Okay.
Like, I know I've only seen Days of Future Past once, and I saw it in theaters, which was a very fun experience.
And that movie was so fun to watch just with people in a theater. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Andrew, your favorite?
I'm gonna pretend I don't have one, or you'll roast me.
It's good. Your favorite is The Last Stand.
Please don't say it's Last Stand.
I was like 11 or 12. It's what really pushed me into like my X-Men phase. So yeah, Dude. I love that movie.
Oh my fucking god!
You know, Andrew, you never fail to disappoint with your takes.
Oh man, it doesn't end. Okay, so what is your least favorite then? Is it Origins?
I don't really have a least favorite because I haven't seen them all. I haven't seen Apocalypse all the way through, but that would probably be my least favorite of the ones I've seen pieces of, but I've not even touched Dark Phoenix. So.
Okay, so I enjoy Apocalypse. Actually, there is a question about Dark Phoenix that Mason has here. Let me get to that quick. One of those questions further down says, which Dark Phoenix adaptation was better? I will honestly say Dark Phoenix is better than Last Stand. Neither of them are necessarily good, but I think Dark Phoenix is actually better than Last Stand.
I have only seen Last Stand. From what I remember, the cartoon did Dark Phoenix well, I think.
That's true. Yeah.
I think
it's probably the best one of the.
But I also haven't read anything with like Jean Grey as Phoenix yet.
That's true.
I have a feeling it's coming. I have a feeling that's what's going to be in volume 2.
It is indeed coming. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm so done with the fucking Dark Phoenix adaptations, though. Can we just like do some new things? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like Grant Morrison stuff.
Do some Grant Morrison stuff.
Apparently, they have an X-Men run.
Exactly.
Morrison brought Phoenix back though twice.
I did not know that. All right then.
See, weren't they the one who did War Song and End Song?
All right then.
Yes.
Let's see. One of Mason's questions here also says, best and worst member to save you in a fight.
Best and worst to save you in a fight. Either Thunderbird. I don't like shitting on a guy.
I think Cyclops is too emotionally unstable to save me in a fight.
No, we can bond about our vision issues, Joey.
Well, yeah, but can he save you in a fight?
That's a good question. I was gonna say either Thunderbird or what's his face.
Don't say Banshee. Oh no! Do you mean Sunfire?
Yeah, Sunfire. I keep wanting to say Starfire, and I know that that's not right because Starfire is the name of 2 Marv Wolfman characters.
There are no Starfires here, but there are 2 Starfires in DC.
Yes.
And best to save me. I mean, depending on how much he likes me, I would say Wolverine. Storm, though, is another. Storm and Colossus are up there too.
Storm, Colossus, and Wolverine is pretty much the trifecta of who you want to save you. Maybe Nightcrawler as well.
Yeah,
Like get the team. This is a really fun team, though. Like
it's so good. Yeah. We haven't even mentioned Banshee yet at all in this, but I love Banshee.
Banshee awesome. deserves more credit.
Absolutely.
Joey, have you ever read Generation X?
I have not.
Oh, it's where he really starts to shine. He becomes like a teacher and takes some kids under his wing.
Oh, that's cool.
I think Joey needs to add that to his big Marvel reading list.
I do. I have so much Marvel stuff to read, and I'm just all I'm trying to really focus on right now is finishing Brubaker's Captain America, and it is so long.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mason's last question, and as such, our last question for the episode.
You forgot one.
What?
You forgot Kian did some stuff on Discord.
Oh, fuck off with that. I'll bring that up afterwards. Mason's last question says, should probably ask about the comic now. Did you like it?
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Very good. Very solid. It's got some problems. Mainly because, as we mentioned, Claremont's kind of fighting this uphill battle through the entire thing. Yeah. And you can tell. Mm-hmm. But he does a good job fighting that battle.
Most def. Okay, fine. Kian's last thing that he sent over on Discord is just a series of the letters N and A, which I can only assume are meant to make the 90s X-Men theme.
Yes, that's what he's doing.
I don't think there are a correct amount of them in there.
I don't think so either.
That doesn't really... It looks more like the Batman theme than it does the X-Men theme.
It does. It does. I think he consistently either added or subtracted a couple of beats.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. I guess does that about do it for our non-spoiler discussion?
I think it does.
What else should we add? Dave Cockrum's a fucking legend. We haven't mentioned him at all. Non-spoilers.
Yeah, he does pretty much all the art in this first volume, and
literally all of the art in the first volume,
and a decent chunk. Well, at least all the pencils in the first volume, and some of the inks. Mm-hmm. And then I think he does most of the art in the second volume, or a good half of it at least.
Most of it, yeah. We're doing 10 issues next time, so yeah, it's most of it.
Then it's Byrne, right?
Yeah, Byrne, and there's actually also a guest penciler that I'm blanking on the name of in there. But yeah, all right. I guess that about does it for our non-spoiler discussion. As always, we will leave links down in the description to our link trees, me and Jacob's. I don't know if Andrew, you have anything to promote for this episode, but I'm sure if you do, I will have those down there. So. Let's see. Also, I will leave links to the books that we're covering on this episode and the next episode down in the description through Amazon links. Probably mostly just going to be digital versions because they've done a really poor job of reprinting this. I'll also have the omnibus down there as well.
Yes.
Next time on the podcast, it's no secret. We're covering the second volume of the Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont. It's issues 101 to 110. And yeah, that'll be next time. And then we'll be moving on to another small portion of the Marvel block. So yeah, fun stuff. All right, shall we get into spoiler territory, friends? Let's do this. So this is Giant Size X-Men #1 with such a lovely cover. I love it. It's so nice.
I mean, it's it's fascinating because it's almost doing a riff on the Detective Comics 38 cover.
Yeah.
With everybody, with our old guard in the background, with the new team coming, just bursting through. I'm guessing paper. I don't know. Like, I think
that bastard idea. Cyclops gets to be there twice.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't think I ever noticed that.
Yeah, it's weird.
But this cover is so iconic. They've redone it countless times for different storylines and stuff.
Yeah. Cyclops just couldn't. Like, he only has one eye, so he has to have two eyes on there somehow. There twice. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this, shall we? So yeah, we open up here. We get after a nice opening splash page. Our first character that we decided to focus on is Nightcrawler. Which is great. Which me and Jacob both agreed on. We're reading in the voice of Liam O'Brien doing a German accent. Yeah. So it's just can't do much about it. It just happens. And also, I've just been watching a lot of Critical Role lately, specifically Campaign 2, where Liam is literally playing a German guy. So
who is basically Nightcrawler if Nightcrawler was a wizard.
Yeah. So
and less Catholic.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a great character introduction. Like, he's being chased down by this mob before he meets up with Charles Xavier, who is recruiting people for this new team. I don't know. I love this first scene. It's great.
I think it's a great layout of the state of mutants in the Marvel universe circa 1975.
And being like for a lot of people, like, you know, this is like the introduction to the X-Men. Like, it's a really striking first scene to open up on.
With someone who looks like a demon getting burnt and then a bald man showing up and being like, "I am here to save your life. I am Patrick Stewart in a wheelchair."
Do you know the cool little behind the scenes thing with Nightcrawler and DC Comics?
I do not. What is this?
It's so the Dave Cockrum basically had the character design of Nightcrawler before anything else. And there was a DC book that was supposed to be a spin-off of Legion of Superheroes called The Outsiders, which has been repurposed since. But yeah, so as one of the characters for The Outsiders, Dave Cockrum drew this cover for it, and Nightcrawler was on it before being transferred over to the X-Men when that version of The Outsiders sort of fell through. And so yeah, he was originally supposed to be a DC character, at least in design, and here he is now. So
I don't know if you can tell, because I mean, I don't know. First off, I love that the character designs here are so colorful and vibrant and play with interesting colors. Also, it's nice to have some recurring characters who aren't just in green after 2 episodes of Spider-Man.
Case in point, we meet our next X-Man then, Wolverine, who was not a brand new character for this book, unlike a lot of the characters that being introduced here. But
so at this point, were they still toying with the idea of Wolverine's past being he was an actual Wolverine that mutated into a human?
I hints to that later on in this volume.
Yeah, because there are hints where it's like he's not actually human. I'm like, they were gonna make him an actual.
They're gonna start rectifying that in the second volume, which is really nice. But yeah, it's kind of here. Yeah, Wolverine
he's also against every Canadian stereotype, and he is a mean Canadian.
He's so good. I love him.
The anti-Canadian.
The anti-Canadian. That should be his new name. But yeah, he meets with Charles Xavier, who recruits him as well for his X-Men, and we go into our. What I actually really like here is a Wolverine is like pretty much like leaving one organized group that he works for another,
But this organized group promises one job and you can be free, basically.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. I don't know. It's just because as all good Wolverine writers should, they write him as really aggressive and not a team player. But here he is, switching from one team to the next. It's funny.
I mean, it's also so clear that they don't have the characterization of Wolverine like 100% formed yet. Like you can see the character there, but at this point he would have had what, like a handful of appearances, maybe.
Mostly, I believe, in Hulk.
Yeah.
Then in a really quick scene, Xavier recruits Banshee, which is just really funny. It's just 2 panels.
Well, because Banshee was a character that everybody should know from the reprints.
Exactly. You don't need to properly introduce him, despite the fact that we just gave 2 whole pages to Wolverine.
Yeah, we've gave 2 whole pages to Wolverine, who, is a returning character. But a nice 3 pages? Yeah, 3 pages to Nightcrawler.
Yeah. And then we get like page and a half for Storm. Actually, no, pretty much 2 full pages, which is nice.
Yeah, 2 pages for Storm. I will say, it's so nice coming back to comics that don't just do the standard like 6 panels per page like 60s comics did.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. The layouts are actually different and fun and dynamic. And Cockrum, I love Storm's introduction just on an art level. Cockrum does so many great things in these first couple pages with her. It's so good.
I mean, introducing all of the new team, I think Cockrum, more so than Wayne, just through the art tells you a lot that you need to know about these characters. Just through the art. Wayne's obviously doing, he's Len Wein. He's going to do a good job with characters anyway. It's kind of what he does. But like Cockrum, just as an artist, puts in a lot of personality, especially to the Storm sequence, especially to the Nightcrawler sequence.
Yeah. The characters that are new and important are going to be like really important going forward. And then, conversely, we get introduced to Sunfire.
Again, 2 panels.
2 panels.
Well, it's because he was a minor antagonist before.
What was he an antagonist in? Actually, I don't know.
He was the very minor antagonist in like 2 or 3 issues of X-Men in the Lee stuff, or after Lee left actually, but before the reprints.
Oh wow.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
So he was there. I'm gonna say it. He's one of the weak points of the book.
Yeah.
Like, partially because obviously Len Wein wrote this first issue thinking it was going to be a series of big 30 to 40 pages.
Mm-hmm. And that just doesn't happen.
And then it wasn't.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. So like the planned out like issue 2 of Giant Size X-Men got moved to being like the first 2 issues of Claremont's actual run. But they did actually eventually release a Giant Size X-Men #2 because I believe it was already solicited, and that is also just a series of reprints, and that's all it is.
Marvel, why?
It's I don't know, man. I really don't.
Who was the editor on Giant Size? Who was the editor on this? Who do we have to blame for this bullshit? It better not be Wolfman.
It's not Wolfman. There's no editor listed.
It's apparently Len Wein. We have Len Wein to blame.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
No.
I think we may have to blame Len Wein's superiors.
It's all right. What were we going to say, Andrew?
Sunfire. On the topic of Sunfire, you guys know what he ended up doing in the comics, or are you?
I don't actually know.
He ended up founding the Big Hero 6. Like what the Disney. Yeah. They retconned him out of the movie. They changed it so they weren't mutants. But yeah, it was called Sunfire and the Big Hero 6.
Damn. Okay then.
That's interesting. So I haven't seen the movie. I'll be fully honest.
It's a great time.
I have been told it's a great time, but also I just haven't watched it because too many movies, too little time.
So many movies. And also it's spooky season. We don't have time for Big Hero 6.
It is spooky season.
Man, it's terrifying.
True. So true. We then go over and meet just one of the best characters in these early issues. Peter Rasputin, Colossus.
And this is such an interesting choice for a character, right? Like, okay, I get we're in the mid-70s, so we aren't at the height of the Cold War anymore.
But we're still in the fucking Cold War.
Yeah, the Soviet Union's still a thing. We are in between the second Red Scare and the hell that is Reagan's presidency in the 80s. So we're in the middle. We are immediately post-Nixon, politically, because this is 75.
What I love though about all this, like all the characters that are being introduced to, though, like almost none of them are just straight American superheroes. Like Wayne is introducing a diverse cast of characters in more ways than one.
The only American superhero on this team in this book is Cyclops.
Yeah, literally the only one.
I guess the closest you get is Banshee, because he's introduced as being in America, but he's
Irish. Yeah,
he's Irish.
Yeah. Yep.
As you can tell,
if you couldn't tell by the phonetic speech bubbles,
and the stereotypes, yes. But yeah, there's also something so interesting. I think almost set up here is that like being a mutant in Russia is different than being a mutant in America, at least subtly implied. Like it doesn't quite feel, like Peter believes that his power belongs to the state and not to the goodness of others. But and Xavier doesn't tell him he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He just tells him, no, you belong to like the world as a greater whole.
Yeah.
And he, says goodbye to his parents and leaves the Soviet Union, which I think is hilarious. Also, he's introduced saving someone from being run over by a tractor, like
a legend.
Like that he tells you a lot about who this character is going to be.
Yeah. But then we meet the man, the myth, the legend, John Proudstar, Thunderbird.
Which, okay, I get it. You're trying to be diverse, Len. And a little bit of Dave here. Dave, you and who colored this? Who colored this? Who do
it's
I
really the colorist we have to blame. Like it's
Glynis Wayne.
It's not necessary. Oh no,
it is Len and his wife.
Oh no. Okay, you know, I was gonna say we don't really have Len to blame as much for this, but no, I guess we do. Dave's innocent. Dave's innocent.
Dave seems to be innocent. He's drawn red.
I mean, okay, the way the character is written isn't.
It's clearly an attempt. It's an attempt to write a complex.
But also, this is in a time when, like, they're like, we're gonna make a Native American character. Let's color him fucking red, like a dumbass, you know.
And let's have him refer to himself as a slur.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a thing. It's a thing. In a way, spoilers. I'm really happy that Thunderbird gets killed off very quickly.
I mean, and this character could be interesting and fascinating if this concept of a sensitivity reader was a thing in 1975, and someone could tell them what to adjust.
Yeah.
Because he's introduced as a man full of anger for the American government that's essentially oppressed his people for hundreds of years. Like, there's a righteous anger
not a horrible idea for the basis of this character.
And in a book of the X-Men, which has even by this point, while I know I don't know if it's apocryphal that Lee made the X-Men to be a sort of a racial allegory. By this point, there was, the obvious racism allegory throughout that first run, most likely.
So making like the X-Men this almost Star Trek type lineup of truly diverse characters was both feeding that message in a really meaningful way, and also just introducing readers to this type of cast of characters in comics that was very uncommon at the time.
Oh, very uncommon. Because this was only around the time where you really started even seeing like non-white superheroes in
this was right around the exact same time that Black Panther and Luke Cage got their books and got really big. Luke Cage was created, I think, like the same year that this started, or maybe like a year before. It's an important time, and having this cast of characters is really important. But however, we get into like chapter 2 of Giant Size X-Men #1, where you see this big lineup of the team, and you can immediately tell, first off, by knowing the cultural status of the important X-Men, of just who's not going to stick around here. And also you can tell that Len Wein has just absolutely loaded this team with way too many characters.
Way too many people. Because we find out what the plot of this book actually is. Because we are...
Because if you think this is a lot of characters, there are about to be way more.
Way too many for one book. And Len Wein then is just and then Len Wein just dips and gives it to Claremont.
Yeah.
I like to think he was hiding from the responsibility of writing 13 main characters.
Right.
Well, he had to go create Swamp Thing or something.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what he went to do.
He's just like, good luck, buddy. I'm out of here.
Oh man.
We also get a reference to the Fantastic Four, which kind of gave me war flashbacks.
Jacob, no. I finished rereading Volume 2 today. It's gonna get worse.
Oh, they're gonna show up again, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Ends. I didn't have a prejudice against the Fantastic Four before we started Marvel. It's now kind of happening.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all Stan Lee's fault.
Yep, most definitely.
But yeah, so first off, I know some of these costumes will get adjusted. Colossus's costume is the big one that gets adjusted so he's not kind of shirtless.
Yeah, it's a weird costume. Yeah, there are some minor adjustments you can see here that are to come. But yeah, we learned the new X-Men's mission, which is to find the old X-Men because they've disappeared. Cyclops is here to lead them into battle. We learned the story of how they got lost. Do we actually learn Krakoa's name here? Yeah, we do. Okay, yeah, we do.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah, they all went to this island. They all were captured, and Cyclops was like.
I mean, this specific team is Cyclops, Iceman, Jean Grey. What's Jean Grey's code name?
Marvel Girl. Yeah, Marvel Girl.
Yeah,
because Stan Lee had like 2 ideas.
Stan Lee cannot write women to save his goddamn life.
So Marvel Girl, Angel, Lorna Dane, who does not have a proper character name yet, I believe at this point yet. And then Havoc, who is Cyclops' brother. And that's the team. It's not a horrible lineup, but I mean, once again, cultural osmosis will tell you that you're not going to know half of these guys eventually.
I'm glad they're not in the like classic X-Men uniforms from the 60s.
Yeah,
little onesies.
Little onesies, because I don't like those designs. I like when you go crazy, colorful, and individualistic for characters.
Yeah. But yeah, so all the X-Men got captured while they were on Krakoa. Cyclops was the only survivor. He went back to Xavier, told him what happened. And,
there's this amazing panel of him waking up with this, with his with his suit ripped, and his eyes are uncovered,
and he's not like projecting his optic blasts as he should be.
And you just see these terrifying red eyes.
It's really good.
It's just haunting.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, so now Cyclops is here to lead the new X-Men to go find the old X-Men, and that's the plot.
And whatever mutant defeated them. Ooh, mystery. And you know what? For a big book that's going to be a special double-length story maybe every other month if this was going to be published bi-monthly.
Mm-hmm. It's not Len Wayne's most inspired idea for a plot, but I mean, like it's simple enough that you can get people on board with it. Unfortunately, even if it is like way too stuffed with characters.
Yeah. And you know what? I would say if it stayed in the giant size format, it probably wouldn't feel nearly as stuffed.
Possibly.
I
don't know.
I have a feeling that what happens at the end of issue 95 with so many characters leaving probably wouldn't have happened nearly as wouldn't have happened in the same way had they stuck with this format, because you would have more time, and you wouldn't have been allocated to the book. I will say now we actually really get our first time of like team dynamics. And
I love that the first thing that they decide to do is Sunfire is like, I will have no part in this fool's errand, and he leaves the team. And then he's back, not just the next page, but the very next fucking panel. He comes right back. He's like, you know what? I'll help you guys anyway. And then he's here for the rest of the story. It's really fucking weird.
I think it's implied. I like to believe that Charles Xavier was like, nope, I'm mind controlling you. You're gonna help me. Because Charles Xavier's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Are you guys aware of like the mid 2000s story that recontextualizes this one?
What's it called?
Not.
It's called like Deadly Genesis or something.
I think I've heard of it. Don't know.
Yeah, I'd recommend looking into it because it shows Xavier's really dark side.
Cool. But let's see. Then we get into sort of chapter 3 of Giant Size X-Men, Assault Force. As we arrive on Krakoa,
the team's gonna split up and pair off.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Colossus and Storm coming in from the north, Wolverine and Banshee from the east, Sunfire and Nightcrawler from the south, Cyclops and Thunderbird from the west to search. So they split up, and it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to sort of pair these characters off and allow some of those nice little interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
as well as like these nice little scenes where they literally get attacked by the island. It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turns out the island is alive.
Yes. And also there are giant crabs.
There are giant crabs.
Just giant crabs.
I might have in my notes made 2 Doctor Who references.
Macra and
Keys of Marinus.
Ah, okay. All right. I was trying to
because of the screaming jungle and the temple. Look, I'm nothing if not predictable. But yes, and I don't know. I really like the dynamic between Storm and Colossus. Like,
oh yeah, they really have one of the best like connections in the team.
Yeah, and then Banshee and Wolverine are just.
Wolverine paired up with pretty much anyone on this team early on. His characterization here is really, really fun.
He's an unrepentant asshole, and that's like it shouldn't be fun to read, but it is.
It totally is.
But yeah, so people are attacked by giant crabs. Nightcrawler and Sunfire are attacked by birds.
Then they find this temple where they break into it with Colossus and Cyclops, and they break into this temple and they find the original X-Men unconscious inside of this living island as Krakoa then literally gets up and is a creature himself.
And of course, Scott Summers immediately goes to the helpless damsel in distress that is Jean Grey.
Yep.
And grabs her.
Yep.
But yeah, turns out the island is alive. It's a mutant. It's Krakoa, the island that walks like a man.
And as we rescue the original X-Men from inside the island, we begin to fight off Krakoa together. And it's a fun little action sequence. It's nice. Nice. Actually, Cockrum plays around with some of the layouts here that I really enjoy. Yeah, it's just fun stuff. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Oddly enough, it gives both teams a chance to at least show off their powers. Mm-hmm. It turns out that Krakoa was using let Cyclops go just to lure them there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the solution involves everyone running to the beach, and then the island lifts up and creates a whirlpool.
Mm-hmm. So are you dealing with some sirens outside of your house right now, Jacob?
Yeah. Can you hear that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's all right. We
can just give it a second. We can make a small cut.
Nah, they'll pass. Yeah. Screw it. But yeah, the island is literally lifted up then, and our teams together make their escape. And Len Wayne literally writes into the dialogue the giant problem he has created for Claremont. What are we going to do with 13 X-Men? I don't know, Len. Yeah, what is Christopher Claremont going to do?
I like to believe that last line is Claremont asking Len, and Len's just writing it down like, that's solid gold to end the issue on.
Well, because then the teaser blurb for the next issue is, we'll find out next issue when the Doomsmith strikes.
Good luck, there is no next issue.
Nope.
The book changes.
The next issue is, in fact, X-Men number 94. The all-new, all-different X-Men. So this
is this the first appearance of that logo? I think it might be.
Mayhaps.
Because Giant Size has a very different logo.
Yeah.
It's just a straight-on text.
Maybe. I mean, this is like the X-Men logo that we see here. Yeah.
Well, because I know the original 60s logo was literally just in a kind of generic font, the X-Men. But yeah, so this is
Stanley.
Because Stanley and Jack Kirby. Well, it was Jack Kirby on that book.
Yeah.
So at least it looked good. But yeah, so this is X-Men number 94.
Yes.
And I will say, I was kind of surprised that Magneto does not show up in any of these issues.
He does not. I mean, not a huge issue. It's all right. Yeah, but, I don't know. I don't know. I don't mind it.
I mean, he's the iconic X-Men villain.
Yeah. So, yeah. But we'll get. There are. Despite what pop culture X-Men things may have you believe, there are more X-Men villains.
Yes, there are, including literal demons.
Yeah. But yeah, right away, Chris Claremont is cleaning house with writing out Sunfire, which makes it so funny in context. Like with Giant Size X-Men number 1, Sunfire is just constantly going through this crisis of like wanting to be a part of this team and not wanting to be a part of it. So now he leaves like for good now. he's done. Like he's just gone.
In my notes, I said this feels just like an overly massive D&D party where the DM could not tell any of the people who wanted to play no.
Yeah, pretty much. And so now he just has to like slowly start writing people out. And so Sunfire is our first victim of this, pretty much. We then get this great scene then where where the whole team begins bickering amongst each other. Immediately followed by the rest of the original X-Men leaving the mansion, including Jean Grey for now, which is interesting because I'm assuming it's another one of those characters that like people think of like oh yeah, Jean Grey, like Phoenix is like part of the X-Men. They write her out and all the original X-Men, so now the team is all of our new characters that were added to the team plus Cyclops.
Well, also, I love Wolverine's reaction to Jean Grey's, "We've all grown up. We're not kids. We need to live our own lives. Yeah, just do us a favor and spare us the soap opera, huh?" Like,
oh, I love him. He's so good.
Yeah,
but yeah, we bid farewell to the old X-Men, and Cyclops welcomes our new team to this room. That did they actually name it the Danger Room yet?
It's on the door.
Yeah, it's in big red letters on the door. The Danger Room.
The Danger Room. I will say, Jean's final exit. She's just in this hat, and like this ridiculous hat, and while Cyclops is still in costume.
Yeah,
I don't think. Do we see Cyclops out of costume anytime in this volume? Maybe once in the Christmas issue.
Christmas one, right?
Yeah. There's like there are also a couple scenes. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think these panels right here is to show the contrast between them. He's so fixated on the team where she just wants to live a normal life. So she's dressed like a normal person and he's in costume.
Mm-hmm. Which is really cool, but also I think it's really funny that
she's dressed like a soap opera character.
Yeah, and also I just like the idea that Scott just like exclusively wears the Cyclops outfit in day-to-day life.
He has
like honey, the mask stays on.
Yeah. But yeah, we do our Danger Room training.
Thunderbird is like, oh, this is an empty room. Nothing's gonna, it's like, we just gotta walk in and out. Cool, I'll do that. Walks like one step in and gets thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Because Charles Xavier has a torture chamber underneath his school for gifted youngsters.
As you do. Days, nay weeks pass as we train in the Danger Room, and our team becomes a team, and it's. I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little cheap. The fact
Okay, the art of the montage is very good.
It's like, such a great page.
It is a great
love
page.
That page. Yeah. But
this team is not a team yet.
Yeah, it's a shame that we don't actually like see the team develop their skills together in real time.
And part of me is wondering because I know that Wayne like had the plot for these 2 issues, and I'm wondering if because he thought it was going to be longer because. For whatever reason, the normal X-Men book only has like 18 to 20 pages per issue instead of the standard at the time.
It becomes a pretty regular 17 pages towards the end of the volume.
Yeah, they're short.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if maybe this was meant to go on a little longer than just 1 page, but.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was like a couple more pages, like I don't know, it's part of it just still feels a little cheap that like we don't like see this team dynamic develop through actual missions they go on together.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, Thunderbird shows himself to not be the greatest team player through all this. He gets into a fight with Cyclops and Xavier, we then go into our main plot for what would have been Giant Size X-Men number 2, which is just furries, it seems. There are these bird, monkey, and cat people.
Well, no.
Humanoids.
So what happens is underneath a mountain in Colorado, there is a base for the NORAD War Room, which receives a large red button in the mail.
there they're like, let's just fucking press it, because it literally says "press me" under it.
with Alice in Wonderland logic.
It's so good.
It's like, yeah, this is probably just a joke. We'll just press the button, and surprise,
it unleashes the furries.
It releases these man-animal hybrids from somewhere. And like people come in with guns and are beaten, and then out walks a Victorian gentleman called Count Nefaria,
who I can't help it. I was reading with the voice of Roger Delgado.
Oh, good! I'm not the only one.
Yes.
Oh, seriously?
I had it in my notes. I had it in my notes. Roger Delgado looking motherfucker.
I wrote Dollar Tree Roger Delgado.
Nice. Oh my god, I love that this is the singular mindset we all have.
We share one brain cell.
Yeah. But yeah, Count Nefaria, however you want to pronounce it.
Our first proper villain.
Hey, they fought a fucking island last time. This is our second villain. Yeah.
We find out. So once again, we have a great editor's note because he gives his backstory. It's like, these fools thought me defeated, destroyed when my assault on Washington failed those many months ago.
Way back in X-Men number 22 and 23, long ago, which is a great editor's note. This guy's faced the X-Men before, but of course not these X-Men.
No, but he also, the furries, he created the furries.
Yes.
He created the furries.
Which is also a Roger Delgado-ass scheme.
Yeah. I could imagine this guy also doing like specifically Roger Delgado pseudonyms, not Anthony Ainley pseudonyms, but Delgado pseudonyms. Like,
yeah.
This guy could pose as Professor Nefarious or
Vicar
not nice
that's his
person.
real last name, Nefarious.
Anyway, Scott is depressed.
Yes, as one is when your girlfriend leaves you. You mope in your fucking X-Men outfit.
She leaves you because you won't take off the goddamn costume,
and so then you brood while you're still in the fucking costume.
But Nightcrawler is there to give some encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then they get they become aware of Count Nefaria's nefarious scheme, and they decide to do something about it after getting a call from Beast, who is part of the Avengers currently, which is fun.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest, that feels weird to me. Like any sort of crossover between the X-Men and the Avengers, because like
that's because in film they've been separated for so damn long.
That's true. Well,
and they really
even outside of film, just the status of mutants feels like they should be separated from like regular superheroes, if that makes sense.
But that's the thing, is like the X-Men are such a massive cornerstone of the Marvel universe because mutants are such a big human race spanning concept for the Marvel universe. So yeah, I don't know. It makes sense when you're actually reading them as part of the same shared universe, movies,
and not spread across 3 different companies.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so we go out on this mission to stop Count Nefaria, and
the U.S. government is going to like shoot them down. It's like, no, we're on a mission. We're responding to the Avengers call. It's like, well, who are you? Iron Man, Cap. It's like, no, sir, the Avengers couldn't make it. We're the X-Men. And then, Scott gets called a slur.
Yep.
Which happens a lot in this book.
I mean, yeah. Are you referring to the way they consistently refer to Wolverine?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's yeah, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, they are attacked. These missiles come flying at the jet they're in, which eventually blows up, and they go tumbling out of the sky, and that is where the issue ends. Bringing us into X-Men number 95, which I love that even in the mid-70s, they had to be on the cover like, no, seriously, someone's dying this time, guy.
There is going to be a death, it is going to happen. Also, I will say, I obviously get why the last issue had such an abrupt ending, but again, this is one of those things where you can really tell that Claremont is having this uphill battle of dealing with a limited page count and having to then tell Len Wayne's story over 2 issues.
Yeah. It does, however, cause us to get this great splash page at the start of issue number 95. Also introducing our new editor for X-Men, Marv motherfucking Wolfman. Yeah. It's so funny that, like, these books are so, I think, linked in the public conscious. Just like it's Teen Titans and X-Men. They're the big teen drama books of DC and Marvel. And the fact that they literally crossed over in staff so much is really, really interesting.
Never mind that this team is not teenagers,
but that's who this book was totally marketed
towards. It's marketed towards
the more mature side of Marvel readers, teenagers in the 70s, basically.
Teenagers in the 70s.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool that it worked out that way.
I mean, it probably helps that we are squarely in the Bronze Age of comics. We are squarely out of the Silver Age, so we can do some dark stuff, like kill an X-Men.
Yeah, for reals, these guys.
And this is one that actually sticks.
Yeah, because
until
a few
years ago.
What was that, Andrew?
Until a few years ago.
Yeah, so I I saw something about that. I don't want to believe it, but I believe it.
Yeah.
Was it bad?
Probably.
Oh no.
I've heard so many mixed things about current X-Men comics.
I've heard so many mixed things about current Marvel comics.
I have an uncle, the same uncle that loves loose cannon. That's a big X-Men reader, and just I don't know. They always just sound so disappointed with current X-Men comics. It's so sad.
Is he not into the Krakoa stuff, like the modern era?
I'm not sure. I don't know because I don't know much about current X-Men comics as it is. But I just in general, the way that he talks about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so we continue where we left off. The X-Men in free fall out of the sky. However, we have people that literally fly on the team, so it's actually not that big an issue.
Yeah. This isn't where the death happens.
Storm lifts up Wolverine and Nightcrawler, and Banshee lifts up Thunderbird and Cyclops, and Colossus crashes into the ground.
Colossus clearly watched that one video by Austin McConnell about what to do if your parachute fails.
But I love it. It's just like, Colossus, he can survive it. He's fine.
He can survive. He is a very strong metal man. Yeah. In Soviet Russia, falling out of plane. I don't know where I was going to end that gag with.
You had something there, and then
I had something and I lost it.
You were onto something, Oh man, I love that Cyclops is ready to just fucking die. He's somehow on a team with Wolverine and Nightcrawler. Cyclops is the edgiest guy here.
Well, it's because he just lost his girlfriend, Joey.
She didn't even fucking die, though.
No, she just said, "No, you gotta grow up, you child."
As he free falls out of the sky in his fucking blue spandex, he's like, "I guess this is it, man."
I now understand significantly more of Gail Simone's Cyclops jokes.
Yeah. But yeah, Banshee saves Cyclops. The team regroups.
Also, I love that Banshee is always just like, no, I'm going to make you laugh because laughter is the best medicine, but also in a way that's going to make fun of you because I need entertainment as well.
Banshee is such a wonderful presence in this whole team. It's so great.
Every character on this team is a very different mood.
Yeah. So Nightcrawler is attacked and transported into
Nightcrawler teleports into the base to try to let them in, and then he gets shot in the back.
Yes.
By a fish man.
Yep. Who he strikes back against and knocks out and makes his way further into the base as he finds a way for the X-Men to get inside.
The fish man is called Croaker.
Of course he is. The X-Men get inside the base. They fight off some soldiers inside, and Storm causes a storm. Shocker. There's a fight with the furries. The Gorilla Man comes after them, and so does the cat. And also, I'm perplexed by the way this one panel is colored. On Okay, so the pages aren't numbered, and I wish they were.
I think I know which one you're talking about. It's the one of Storm.
No. No. It's so it's after like there. So it's the big page where the gorilla and the cat person are attacking Colossus, Storm, and Wolverine. It's towards the top of one of the pages, and the cat person fighting Wolverine just has the bottom half of its face colored like a skin tone, and it stays that way then for the rest of the issue. But it wasn't like that beforehand, was it?
I don't think so. I will say, I think between the issues we did switch colorists.
That makes sense.
Because I think I noticed there's a lot of colorists credited.
Yeah.
So I think this book was just on like a cycle of colorists and letterers.
Once again, Claremont was fighting so much, and he still made them like one of those popular Marvel books of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine by that, like, there has to come a point where like things start to stabilize.
Mm-hmm. Like pretty much like once it stops being bi-monthly.
Yeah, I imagine once it gets monthly, because I know John Byrne starts on art and he stays on art for a while,
long time. Yeah.
But yeah, so Count Nefarious gonna blow up the world because you know.
I mean, his name is Count Nefaria. Of course, he's gonna blow up the world.
Yeah, like.
But yeah, fighting off the furries and trying sending Nefarious like trying to escape. They're trying to stop the countdown. Nefarious escaping on this plane that Thunderbird latches onto and is trying
the psychic
to stop.
vision of Charles Xavier tells him, "No, don't do that. You're gonna die."
he's like, I'm okay with that. He fucking stays on the plane as Banshee's also pleading with him to stop.
Okay, actually, should I it's the wrong accent for Banshee, but do you want to know whose voice I kept reading his dialogue in?
Oh God, who?
James Doohan.
You know what?
The accent is wrong.
The accent is wrong, but I feel like if you were casting Banshee in the 70s, that's who you'd cast.
That's who you'd cast.
But yeah, you can't stop Thunderbird from wanting to kill himself, basically, because Claremont needs him to kill himself. You get this beautiful page actually when the plane eventually blows up, and
the final page of the issue is just.
Xavier is like connected to Thunderbird as he dies.
Yeah.
And so you get this beautiful page where Xavier literally feels his pain as he dies. The last page is fucking gorgeous. It's so good. Like it is one of those deaths that was written in as a necessity for the book to actually end up working, and really services the book as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. Like character deaths. I mean, I don't know. Would you call this a fridging? Because it is essentially just to move every other character forward.
Yeah.
So there's maybe some talk about it being a fridging.
But also wasn't done with the express purpose of doing that. Like it really was like Claremont just trying to make the book work better. because
Len Wein saddled him with 13 characters.
Yeah. And so he cuts down that immensely, literally making it a 6-person team by the start of the next issue.
Yes.
It's cut down immensely, and we go into.
I just feel kind of sad because like there was potential with the character.
Yeah, but also
also it was written by a white guy in the 1970s, so
and probably was just for the best for everyone in the end.
Yes, I have seen some panels from later X-Men comics by Claremont that touched upon the topic of race.
Are you referring to one?
Yep.
One Kitty Pryde.
Yep.
Are you talking about God Loves Man Kills?
No,
I don't know the story. I just know the panels out of context.
that there's a story where Kitty Pryde says some slurs.
A story.
Is it one story?
There are like 3 separate occasions.
Wait.
I don't think they're not all by Claremont, but there are like 3 separate occasions. For some reason, she's always the character they choose.
Is it because it's probably because she's like the youngest on the team because she's like child.
Yeah. Anyway, X-Men number 96.
It's the Night of the Demon. I will say, you know what? Chris Claremont, for your first original issue, decided to be like, let's get some demons up in here. Because why not?
Why the hell not? Yeah. And my God, once again, Cockrum crushing the first page. Oh my God.
There are people who apparently don't like Cockrum's art.
That's ass. Come on, man.
Yeah. I think Cockrum's a very good artist.
Such a good artist. Yeah. We recount the events of X-Men number 95 with the death of Thunderbird and once again Cyclops being an angsty bitch.
At least this time he has reason.
Yep.
To do it. And but still in his fucking costume, still in his costume,
still in spandex. Like, he knows no other way to let out his rage.
So he uses concussive blasts to start like taking his rage out on some trees, and this random pillar with some sigils on it and some runes on it gets destroyed. So that's not going to be a problem or anything.
So this is the plot.
The narrator tells us that like that just released something. When was this out? Was this? Oh no, this was a December issue. Or
December.
Yeah,
December 75.
You think it might be an October issue because Demon.
It's also funny because, man, I don't know if Claremont thought he was writing monthly because, like, 2 issues later, it comes the actual Christmas issue then.
Yeah, it would be February, April. Why Christmas in April?
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe it's the whole thing of like comics being dated a couple months in advance.
Maybe. I don't know.
I hope that's what it is. Because I tried to look up the dates and they only give the dates on the cover. I haven't found any actual definitive release date. Which can be annoying. I will say you can.
Well, I mean, like the I don't know what your omnibus comes with, but the Masterworks that I have has a table of contents that says what month each one was published in. So I think this was actually in December.
Yeah,
because I think comic cover publishing dates have gotten worse over time, but they used to be fairly accurate.
They used to be okay because the contents also says December here because this Marvel Omnis are very nice that they seem to always have tables of contents, which is not something I can say for DC sometimes. Like
but DC also just has a way better, more consistent output of Omnis. So
Omnis and DC keeps their stuff in print.
Thanks, DC.
Stuff in print.
Yeah, we love you. Just get rid of the NFTs, please.
Get rid of those and keep Superman going strong because I'm really enjoying it.
It's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good. Anyways, sorry. All right,
I am very tired in this recording audience. Can you tell?
So am I, dude. We're just we're living, we're thriving. Okay, so the X-Men are training some more in the Danger Room. There is
I find it interesting that everybody the teammates call each other by their real names, except when Wolverine is involved because Wolverine doesn't have a name
Wolverine.
Yet.
I mean, what else are you gonna call him, man?
Logan. He's
a real fucking Wolverine, my guy. You can't call him anything else. He feels that shit in his blood. Anyway, but Banshee's not taking part in the training.
He's dressed very Irish.
He's walking around in his little cozy sweater, smoking a pipe. He's talking to Xavier as there's a doorbell ringing. Then, which Banshee goes to answer the door to find a woman after his own heart, another Irish woman. This is Moira McTaggart. Were you familiar with this character at all, Jacob?
But I know she's an important character.
She is. They actually did her in X-Men First Class, and she was not Irish in it, unfortunately. But
that's a shame.
She was played by Rose Byrne. She's very good. Anyway, but yeah, so she's here. Immediate attraction between the fellow Irish people.
Wait, no, isn't she Scottish?
She's Scottish. Yeah.
Oh, she's Scottish. That's right. Yes, she's Scottish. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, because Banshee. Yeah, because Banshee's internal monologue is just housekeeper. He says, a nice widow woman by the name of Moira McTaggart, probably 80 years old, ugly as sin, and with 40 years in service in the Scots Guards. And then it's just immediately smitten.
What a guy. I love him. Anyway, meanwhile, we start actually setting up some larger things because Claremont knows that he has the 100th issue of X-Men coming up, and
he has no time to prepare.
No fucking time to prepare. This is 96 that we're on right now, and he's just getting to really like make some big waves creatively.
I will say, like, Claremont does a very admirable job of giving of taking Len Wayne's groundwork from Giant Size and starting to give these characters depth.
Yeah,
but you can tell that he is struggling because he has this big 100 coming up, and he's like, there has to be something special because it's an issue 100, and this is 75. Not a lot of comics make it to an issue 100, even at this time. So we're setting up Dr. Stephen Lang, who and Project Armageddon.
Yes, he is investigating the X-Men. We see like little like portraits of the old X-Men Marvel, including and the old version of Beast before he was Harry,
and got an infinitely better design.
Yeah,
because
like big hands and feet.
That's literally
it. It was like
that's all
big.
it is.
It was like. And his like hands were like a crossbreed between hands and feet. Like
I do actually really like what they did with him in First Class as well. But
is he played by Nicholas Hoult?
Nicholas Hoult, yes, Nicholas Hoult. He's fantastic in that.
Because in Last Stand, he's Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. I mean, come on, they perfectly cast Beast twice.
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, Laura McTaggart is getting well acquainted with the X-Men as she is here at the mansion. When suddenly a fucking demon bursts in because again, that's the plot.
That is the plot. Cyclops allowed a demon called Kirok the Damned.
My God.
Which, I mean, okay, this is a year after The Exorcist came out. I'll buy it.
Yeah. And this demon was able to accomplish what not even Jean Grey could. He started to get Cyclops to remove his costume. He started to destroy it, but one way or another.
Yeah, one way or another.
Yeah.
Do you think the demon only has one eye because Cyclops only has one eye?
I believe that is totally the point of that.
Yes, they are definitely paralleling characters.
Yes.
100%.
Such deep parallels here in our characters.
This isn't just Claremont trying to pull a story out of nowhere.
Yep. But yeah, so we begin fighting.
Kirok's the best villain.
We begin fighting Kirok the demon. At one point, Xavier enters his mind and tries to figure out what the fuck he's doing here. Then Laura McTaggart fucking bursts in with a gun. Like already.
I love the like sort of Lovecrafty thing with Xavier going into the demon's mind and just being like, God, it's incomprehensible horrors beyond my imagination. But yeah, Laura McTaggart, just
a gun. Just a fucking gun. A close range machine gun. Like, what?
I want to know where they had the guns. I want
to know what bizarre part of Claremont's brain he pulled Moira McTaggart from. Like, that he was like, this is her introduction. This is it. I love it. Banshee gets her out of harm's way, because, we have to do that. Storm begins fighting Kirok as well. She's the one that eventually defeats Kirok. It's nice, fun. It's a simple enough issue. Yeah, it's nice. It does good work. Like, you can see Claremont like actively trying to do more with this series since leaving Len Wayne's plot synopsis pretty much. Introducing new characters, setting up threats in the background, actively like turning it into a bit more of a serial, which is nice. And yeah, I guess that finishes off 96.
Yeah.
He also added the small seed of Storm having the claustrophobia, because that comes back much later in like bigger ways.
That's true. Actually, coming back sooner than that even. I'll say it again. I can touch on more in volume 2. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway, X-Men number 97. Here we go. My brother, my enemy. which is just cool. Let's go. Let's get into it.
It's a great title. Great.
It's a promising cover too. I love that cover.
Promising cover. It's kind of a shame this story only has like 17 pages. Like,
yeah.
Like it's at this. I will say it's at this point till 100 where I'm like, that was good. That was very good. But it could have been better if like they gave Claremont just that little bit more time. Just that little bit more time to develop.
What ends up happening in volume 2 is like the page count doesn't get better, but Claremont does a better job of like just knowing like when to cut off his story and be like, okay, we're gonna pick back up with this next time, rather than trying to like do full stories in one issue.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that by the end of this.
Yeah,
with the last 2 issues, last 2-3 issues especially. But like, yeah, I mean, I also imagine, because looking at the Omni that I have, it probably helps that like volume 3 seemed to be when like they started to go monthly as well. So like by that point, Claremont's developed into, right, I can actually do ongoing stories and people are going to buy this book.
And stay invested, like, for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll get into this. Let's see. Oh my god, I love the opening of this. Xavier's just having the most badass nightmare. It's so good. He's dreaming sci-fi shit. It's great. It's fun. It's really, really fun.
Very Jack Kirby.
He does. He does actually. Yeah. Just a great 2-page spread. It's awesome. Cockrum really crushes that one. But yeah,
it's also Xavier, so nice to see 2-page spreads again after
Stan Lee.
After Stan Lee had none of them. But yeah.
But hey, Jacob, Stan Lee presents.
He presents.
Everything has to have his fucking name on it, otherwise it won't sell. Apparently,
even the Doctor Who comics that weren't even
Stan Lee presents fucking Doctor Who. Miserable. Fucking miserable. Anyway, so Xavier wakes up, is met by Moira McTaggart.
This is it's a small detail, but it's a detail that I really like, especially for a comic from the mid 1970s. Xavier's able to get himself out of bed. Like,
it's cool.
Like, it's nice to see a disabled character not being portrayed, like,
not being
portrayed as physically helpless. Because obviously,
Xavier's a very capable character.
Yeah. Well, because Lee created a character of, he may be physically weak, but his mind is the sharpest mind of all, at least in Stan Lee's mind, where it's like, no, he can also be physically strong enough to get himself by a pull-up out of bed.
Yeah.
So, but he's been having this dream again, and they've been getting stronger. He thinks he's going insane. And it's like, you kind of get the sense that Moira McTaggart being here is just so Xavier has somebody his own age to talk to. Like, somebody who he's not in a teacher-student relationship, or was at one point in a teacher-student relationship, he can speak to.
Yeah. Also, is it weird just Xavier as a character being just younger in general to you, knowing like pretty much Patrick Stewart your whole life?
You would think I'm not. Here's the thing about Patrick Stewart, though. Here's the thing about Patrick Stewart. Young Patrick Stewart looks like old Patrick Stewart.
That's true. He's
like, also sounds really like Patrick Stewart. He has the Paul McGann gene of potentially being immortal. Or the Christopher Lee gene of potentially being an immortal vampire.
Anyway, we then catch up with Alex Summers and Lorna Dane, who just Jacob, you don't know what I'm talking about. It sounds so much like that one High Republic character, Lorna D.
Yes.
It just my mind keeps jumping to that, but she's a fucking Twi'lek with head tails, and this is not that, but still green.
I was gonna say it has green hair, and I believe that character was green.
The character has green skin. Yeah. Anyway, but
Lorna, Alex is going on a hike. They're on vacation in like New Mexico, I think.
Did they actually say where they are?
It says Rio Diablo, so that's like Devil River. Where's Devil River? Is that somewhere in the American Southwest?
Anyway, so Alex goes out for the day to be the man of the house, I guess, and then Lorna is attacked immediately. And then when Alex comes back, she seems fine, and she attacks him because she is now Polaris, mistress of magnetism, and it's really fun.
She's evil now.
Yeah. And as such, what's up?
I don't think she was evil before.
No, she was not.
She had been brainwashed before, though. She had been like evil under Magneto mind control or something back in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
See, I'm glad we're starting here, and I'm glad we have you here, Andrew, to help us with these continuity messes.
Yep. And you guys don't have to slog through the Lee stuff now, because it was not good.
So I've heard.
What do you mean? Stan Lee is a master.
Stan Lee's a genius, Andrew. No. Come on. He created the entire Marvel Universe, man. Don't you know?
His X-Men makes his Spider-Man look like Shakespeare. Like, there were some good ideas, but man, the way it was executed, the enemy mutants were always so weak. It's like, oh, I'm the Vanisher. I could poof away 3 feet. It's like, eh.
Oh man, I do want to check it out someday, but mostly on my own time. I don't think I'd ever have us cover that in the podcast.
Maybe in the long future.
Oh man, dude, like that's the thing. It's that thing we always talk about. It's just like no matter how many episodes of this podcast we do, we will never run out of shit to talk about on it.
We will not.
Crazy. Yeah. Anyway, all right, so we're at an airport then. Oh yeah, Jean Grey's coming back. Because Claremont was like, "Why would you fucking get rid of her, Wayne?"
Also, it's like, well, Xavier needs a vacation, so we're bringing back Jean Grey, and Scott Summers out of costume for like 2 panels.
Look at him!
Also,
be a normal human being.
They make Nightcrawler look like a human being.
Yes, with technology from Tony Stark.
Yes, which is a choice.
Nope. It is an image inducer from Tony Stark. But yeah, which is quickly dropped then because the airport is attacked by Polaris
and Havoc
and the X-Men go into battle then and as they're trying to sabotage these airplanes at the airport. And then we get the arrival of the man that is controlling Polaris and Havoc, who's Eric the Red.
Which is the Red.
Such a name for a villain.
Anyone remember Sykes' epic portrayal from X-Men numbers 51 and 52? Yeah,
nope.
apparently.
Nope,
apparently this
forgettable.
is what was that, an earlier villain.
Oh, I just said no because it was forgettable.
Oh man.
I mean, I imagine that would at least be post Stan Lee, so it may not be the worst the X-Men book has gotten.
That's possible. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, the X-Men are then pretty much fighting amongst themselves as they're fighting Havoc and Polaris.
Jean becomes the damsel in distress.
Yeah. Claremont's gonna fix that soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Not in this volume, but he's gonna fix that soon.
Yeah. Cyclops was like, I don't want to kill my brother. Break free of your conditioning. I'll just stun him.
As you do with dangerous fucking lasers.
This scene was so weird to me because I don't know if it was established yet or if it was established later, but Cyclops and Havoc's powers do not work on each other. Like, it couldn't even stun them. It just, like, would go through, absorb into them. So to see them hurting each other was kind of weird.
Okay, I did not know that, actually. I guess it wasn't established at all here. Huh, weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Weird. Yeah, so, action happens. Storm creates a storm, and eventually knocks out Lorna. But then Lorna falls from the sky, and she's I can't tell if she's dead or not.
I mean, I'll say she's not dead, but I mean,
Claremont kind of plays it like she's dead.
Yeah. Well, the point is that Alex is pissed that his girlfriend was hurt, and Eric the Red uses them to help him escape. And Wolverine's like, "Hey, Cyclops, you gotta fucking blast him right now." And he's like, "I can't. That's my brother." And Scott is an angsty bitch again, and he punches Wolverine.
Yes. Scott being an angsty bitch seems to be a recurring theme.
That is his thing, man. That is his thing. Yep. I also was remembered about that time I also was reminded of that time that I tagged you in the one panel from the end of this issue, Jacob, of Wolverine saying, "Why, you one-eyed son of a, I'm gonna cut you wide open for that."
That's basically our dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't really explain it. I think in my head, I had this on this read in particular, I had this very specific voice for Wolverine in my head that's kind of derived sort of from the 90s cartoon, but is just way more cartoonish than that. It's something along the lines of like, "Why, you one-eyed son of a, I'm gonna cut you wide open for that." It's something like along those lines, you know?
Basically the Pride of the X-Men voice, but not Australian.
You know, that's probably it. I've watched Pride of the X-Men exactly once, and it's not good. But you know what? Yeah, pretty much that.
So Australian. he goes around calling people like, "Hey there, little dingo."
Oh man. Anyway, I also love the blurb at the end of this issue. The next issue, the Sentinels return. Enough said. Which I don't know. I always love that because, you know, Stanley.
And then at the cover of 98, the Sentinels are back.
Enough said. Yeah. Were you familiar with the Sentinels, Jacob?
Yeah. I knew what they were.
Oh, that's right, because Days of Future Past, though.
Days of Future Past, and I like they're a big presence in the animated cartoon, and I remember those first couple episodes of that show for some reason, just like it's ingrained. Probably because the Sentinels are such a cool design, and you can imagine the U.S. government making giant "fuck you" purple robots to oppress a minority group.
Yeah. Yeah. In a less exaggerated way, but yeah. Anyway, it's finally our Christmas issue in April.
April.
Jean is officially back. She's sort of not officially part of the team, but she's here like full time, just hanging out with everybody.
It's gonna be a white Christmas. Cyclops is out of costume. Wolverine is out of costume. Again, Kurt has the image transponder, which I'm just gonna say it. That kind of threw me. I'm like, what? Why would human Nightcrawler look like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. So they're having a nice time. It's Christmas, and then giant fucking purple robots show up, and we once again have to scream at the reader in a giant speech bubble that the Sentinels have returned.
Spoken by a Sentinel.
If you can't tell, it's a big fucking deal, Jacob.
It's a big deal. So I didn't realize the Sentinels were created by someone who wasn't Chris Claremont.
They're really popularized by some of the things that Claremont does with them, but no, yeah, he didn't create them.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Well, here you have it.
Yes.
Yeah. We get our fight with the Sentinels. Nobody gets into costume actually for like a long time. Actually, Banshee's the first one to sort of break that.
I will say it's nice to see them fighting in civilian clothes because it's like they were caught off guard.
Yeah,
it's Christmas, and you know,
despite the fact that earlier issues would have you believe that Wolverine and Cyclops just walk around in that spandex all the time.
Well, Jean Grey's back, so Cyclops, you know, is like, fine, if I'm going to win you back, Jean.
If I'm gonna get any, then I have to stop wearing the costume, don't I?
Yes.
But yeah, it's fight breaks out. Banshee is the first one to actually like get into costume. Storm quickly follows, and it's a cool fight sequence. That's most of this issue actually. Except for that moment where we cut over to Xavier just fishing.
There's an interlude basically doing Jaws, but with Charles Xavier.
Concept Jaws with Patrick Stewart.
Somebody copyright Fresh Faced Comics, Licklider and Morgan.
Yes. But yeah, he's here on this boat fishing with one Peter Corbeau, who is with Xavier here on this boat.
He's apparently a character from the Hulk.
Yes. And they're on this boat and they are attacked by a Sentinel. And Xavier is pretty much helpless to stop it. I mean, he uses like his mental powers to try to send it back into the water. Then it comes
but it's
right
also
back
a
up
giant robot. So.
Yeah, so it comes right back up and just destroys the boat. And that is pretty much where we leave that for a while. Oh no, it takes Xavier. That's right. It steals Xavier.
It kidnaps Professor X.
Yes. And that is the end of that interlude. Continuing. Actually, the Sentinels have captured a lot of the X-Men at this point. They have Jean, they have Wolverine, they have Banshee, and at the head of all this is Dr. Lang,
who's a Nazi.
Yep.
Is this the character that Kevin Bacon plays?
No.
Oh.
No.
It's Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah.
I recognize that name, but I don't know why.
Hellfire Club. He's part of the Dark Phoenix stuff.
I cannot wait for you to watch X-Men First Class someday, Jacob. It's so fucking good.
It'll happen eventually. But also, this is where we get the Wolverine isn't human. Also, I think this is one of the first times where Wolverine's actually started saying "bub." Like,
yeah.
Also, I don't know. They put Jean Grey in a black dress that kind of makes her look evil a little bit.
We're on our way. Claremont had plans. We also get let's see. So Wolverine breaks out. He begins attacking one of the Sentinels. The Lang and the scientists that he's with begin to escape as well. Wolverine very quickly gets back into his costume, but also really importantly, another big revelation about Wolverine's character here is that the claws are not part of his glove; they're literally part of him, which is the first time that had ever been revealed, which is really cool.
I was going to ask, is that a revelation for this? Because it
is, yeah.
Because I imagine the thought was that they were retractable, or potentially even the original intent on who created Wolverine. Was it Roy Thomas?
I am not sure.
Because I know it wasn't obviously Claremont.
No.
But the way the gloves are drawn is that it almost looks like they're potentially just retractable into the gloves.
Mm-hmm. So how it would actually be part of his hands. That was a big revelation at the time. It's cool.
Yes. They also find Xavier captured, and they argue if Wolverine just wants to leave him, whereas Jean and Banshee are like, no, we can't do that. Oh wait, here comes another Sentinel.
Yep.
In fact, a bunch of Sentinels.
Yep.
And they all have to fight before we can actually cut back to the rest of our characters.
Yep. Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Colossus, Storm, Moira, and Corbeau, who are all just trying to figure out what to do. And
we reveal that surprise. They took the professor and the others into space.
I have mentioned to you already that on my Volume 2 reread, there were a fair few Star Trek references that Claremont makes. Claremont just really likes doing space stories, and I think he was just very inspired by Star Trek. And looking back on these issues for this episode is really funny, actually. Also, because it's the first time I'm rereading these, knowing Star Trek.
It's also the first time you're rereading these, I believe.
Yeah. I hadn't seen any Star Trek at the time I first read these issues, and I don't know, it's just fun. Anyway. Moving to X-Men number 99, Death Star Rising. Which, look, this is published in 76.
Yes.
Death Star Rising. I don't know, just kind of funny.
Yeah. When did Star Wars enter production?
Probably around this time.
When it came out.
77 is when it came out, but we know Lucas was working on that script for years.
Yeah. I mean, not that anyone would really be aware of the contents of it. Other than
I don't know. Someone could have stolen a script and given it to Chris Claremont for some reason.
And Claremont was like, "Yeah, I'm going to use that name."
Yeah. So yeah, the X-Men are like on the cover are in bubbles,
which doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. No.
No.
Like
I mean, they're still floating in space at the start of the issue, but I mean, it's just I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I actually I don't know. I really like it's a bit wordy, but I do like that one page, the second page of the issue where with that sort of like 10 panel thing that Cockrum does,
where of getting them all into space, into the atmospheres.
Yep. While Cyclops and Corpo are still together, like playing those scenes like side by side. It's really cool. I enjoy it.
Okay, I should also actually. There's something about Stephen Lang's design that I don't know if it bothers me, but he's part of Project Armageddon. So emblazoned on his chest is a red A. And all I can think about when I see that is that he's an adulterer. Because the Scarlet Letter.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Okay. All right. Anyway.
That's what red A's emblazoned on someone's chest usually means.
I mean, for all we know, he is.
I mean, that would also be the least of his crimes. He is a Nazi after all.
Yeah. This conversation got weird. Moving on. The X-Men are transported back to Lang. They are put into these like no, actually no, they're not put into anything yet. The X-Men that are free on the other side of things, like Cyclops and Nightcrawler and all of them are going into space themselves.
Also, Claremont sets up some anti-mutant hysteria rising, using some newscasters in a pre-Dark Knight Returns world.
Yeah, it's just fun to see.
Yeah. But yeah, so we learn Cyclops is kind of scared. No, not Cyclops. Colossus is kind of scared about going into space because his friend was a cosmonaut and died because his rocket exploded. And it's just a nice. I don't know.
It's a really great moment. Nice it also just works really well for like Peter as a Russian character. It's nice.
Yeah, it feels, and then also just the blast off sequence is pure indulgence.
So good.
Pure indulgence.
Yeah. But yeah. Meanwhile, who is this guy?
This is
it's been a little bit. The guy delivering the letter for Sean Cassidy. It's been a little bit since I read Volume 1. But yeah, who is this guy actually though?
This is a lawyer called Flaherty.
Okay, and it doesn't matter because he dies immediately after, I guess.
Yeah, a villain with a stick kills him.
Makes sense to me.
He just bops him on the head.
But yeah, our remaining X-Men make their way into space. They are attacked by Sentinels, and they crash their shuttle into Corbeau's space station. Not Corbeau, Lang's space station. I don't know why I said Corbeau. They crash into the space station. I love this fucking sequence where Storm gets into like the spacesuit and like is still using her powers in space because being in space wouldn't nullify her powers really.
No, they're like you could make winds occur. You could do some fun stuff with space storms in space. But yeah, so they get on the station and immediately rip off their astronaut suits.
Yep. For some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't keep using those, but all right.
You see, you gotta have them in costume because they gotta be iconic.
They can't sell otherwise. I get this nice little fight scene between them and the Sentinels then. I love this moment again, also because Colossus and Storm have such a great dynamic. When Colossus sees that Storm is okay and he lifts her up, it's just really fun moment. I love that.
You can feel, you can really start to feel. You can feel some of the bonds. You can feel the bonds forming between these characters because Claremont is finally starting to find his feet with this issue in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Even though those bonds I don't think won't fully strengthen until the next volume, because issue 100, it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it, but
it's a bit of a gimmick though.
It's a gimmick.
It's a gimmicky issue, yeah. But what were you gonna say before, Andrew?
I was just saying, I love that Storm's face is so no nonsense, and Colossus just has the biggest grin.
Yeah,
They're like polar opposites.
I love it. Oh, they have such a great dynamic. Let's see. Colossus then not Colossus, Cyclops. Wow, it's been a long day.
We are very tired.
We are very tired. We're almost done. Cyclops goes after Lang. Then they begin to. What do they do? What does he do? He catches up with Lang. He threatens him, and then from behind them arrives some familiar faces: Charles Xavier and all of the original X-Men that are there to fight them, because apparently they hate the new X-Men, and we're supposed to believe this as readers, bringing us our big X-Men number 100 special.
It's such a gimmick.
It's such a gimmick. I mean, it's a fun idea and a gorgeous cover. I love
a great cover, an outstanding cover. But the idea is a bit shit.
Yeah.
It's a bit like it feel, and you can really feel that Claremont was like, I need to do something special.
And it is special, 100. But it's a gimmick. It's a special gimmick.
It's a gimmick, and I was more interested in like the rest of the plot and where our characters were going.
But most of this issue just focuses on we have two teams of X-Men fighting each other, and it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay.
The best part of the issue is the cliffhanger, and that's, I think that kind of tells you all you need to know.
We find out that one of the teams near the end of this is actually robots.
Yep.
Like
that's the big twist. They're robots. But also, for some reason, Cyclops is on the side of the original X-Men.
Well, because Charles Xavier, Jean Grey, and Cyclops are then in these tubes, like powering the robots.
When did the switch with Cyclops happen? Is my big question.
In between the second to last and last page of the last issue.
It makes no sense.
Because Cyclops gets shot at, but then there's immediately robot Cyclops. It's a gimmick.
We make a big deal over the fact that Beast is no longer Harry. So how could this have happened? And it's just like it's clear immediately what Claremont is doing, and it's like
they're imposters.
Yeah.
They're imposters.
Jean is wearing her old Marvel Girl costume. That's all it is.
Yeah. Also, at one point, Charles Xavier's just further around is like, just murder them, just kill them all. Yep. I know we've kind of talked that Charles Xavier is not as lawful good as you might want to think, but he's not just. I don't think he's.
That said, I do love the bit when Robot Xavier stands up from his chair and punches Wolverine across the room.
That's a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because then Wolverine rips open the fake Jean Grey and shows everybody that she's a robot, and so everybody else realizes that, and so they stop fighting, and they free the real Cyclops, Jean, and Xavier from the tubes, and also Corbeau, who apparently got there at some point.
Yeah.
That's weird. He doesn't need to not be a part of the conflict, but he's in a tube for some reason.
Yeah. And it's all building up to trying to escape, and Jean, basically being having to stay,
because the whole buildup is that she's one of the strongest X-Men because she has these insane telepathic powers. And so she's like, I will save the day. And Cyclops is like, no, but you could die. And she's like, okay, well, fuck you. And so she
it's because their rocket back to Earth was broken. So to save everybody, she's going to sacrifice herself. And that's the cliffhanger we leave on.
Yeah,
and it's an effective as fuck cliff.
Gorgeous last page. Nightcrawler's tears, Cyclops screaming. It's such a great moment. And that is where we end the Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. It is also worth noting because I don't think I've actually mentioned it, although I mentioned it the last 2 episodes for Spider-Man, so I think the same is implied. These are the Marvel Masterworks split ups of the X-Men run here. Yes. But yeah, that was that.
That was that. I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
It's a good time.
It's satisfied.
A really good time.
I'll say this first volume probably on par with the first volume of New Teen Titans for me.
I agree. Actually, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Wolfman's Titans starts off a bit stronger than this.
Very probably. I also think that Wolfman's writing style is immediately more developed than Claremont's is.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Andrew.
And also the fact that Claremont literally paved the way pretty much for books like New Teen Titans to exist.
I'm very excited to see where it's going.
Yeah. I'm curious, actually, Andrew, as a big fan of this run. How would you say these early issues not only compare to the rest of it, but also do they hold up on their own in your opinion?
Yeah, I think they hold up incredibly well as a little standalone story, barring the cliffhanger. What's going to happen to Jean in the end? But compared to the rest of the run, it's a great start. But obviously, everyone gets pretty fleshed out later on. They're kind of bare here in comparison, but you see the little seedlings of what's going to become their core personalities and relationships. I really liked rereading it.
And we haven't done any of the iconic stories.
Those will begin because we're doing the Masterworks split ups. Those really begin in Volume 4.
Yeah. Well,
so we've got a ways to go. Actually, oddly enough, sort of in the same way that we're doing the New Teen Titans volumes. Because we got a while until we get to some of the bigger, more iconic stories. But it really does give you time to get to know the characters really, really well.
Yeah. And like New Teen Titans, this is one of those books that I'm I cannot wait to, even after I'm so glad we're doing 2 because and I have a feeling that even after Volume 2, it's probably going to be I can't wait to come back to this.
Yeah, and I will be more than happy to oblige because it's a pretty great run.
It's very good.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Wow. We also did some adapted material for this.
Yeah, we did. We did X-Men from the year 2000, which is
you're a bit of a bitch for your take on this one.
I find it mixed.
Dude, your big take was that it's not colorful, and I understand that
it's very gray.
I understand that it's fucking gray. I don't think that makes it a bad movie.
That, and I think honestly, as the film isn't nearly as focused on being an ensemble film as it really should be. It really only focuses on 4 key players. Yeah, and I think that's a problem. Oddly enough, I think the introduction of Jean Grey is a great scene that is hurt so much by the fact that then she barely does anything for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
I will say
it's another one of those
time. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are on screen. Sparks are flying.
So fucking good.
The way McKellen says Charles.
Oh my god! McKellen has my 2 favorite lines in that movie. First, of course, being the iconic last one. What will you do when they come to your school? Whatever. But I fucking love the scene where he's talking to was it Senator Kelly?
Senator Kelly.
The whole "don't fear God, Senator, and certainly don't fear me." Let's just say God works too slowly. I fucking love that scene so much. Oh, it's so good. It's also it's another one of those comic book films in general that it's a mixed bag. Sure, it airs more on the side of good for me. But it's a mixed bag. But just so it's such a perfectly cast movie.
The cast.
Oh man,
the cast is
the cast
great.
is so good.
It's so nice to see Halle Berry in something that isn't a bad Catwoman film that I haven't seen. But I mean,
she also doesn't turn in the best Storm performance. Let's be fair.
She is. The big problem is a lot of the cast.
Jacob, do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else. Which I will say is honestly a good line response. Did Joss Whedon work on that film though?
I think I saw someone on one of our Discord servers someone say that Joss Whedon was involved? I don't think he was.
Yeah, I don't like it was.
I think they just got their wires crossed with that.
I mean, like it was the year 2000, so Whedon would have just been like.
That said, it's directed by an even more shitty person than Joss Whedon. So,
yeah, Bryan Singer is not a
good person.
I will say, like, it's clear that like they've collected a really good cast, but they just don't give half of them the material to work with.
I'm always thrown by the fact that fucking Ray Park is in that.
Who does he play?
He plays Toad.
Huh.
That's Ray Park. Yeah, that's Darth fucking Maul. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I mean that was like the era of film when like Ray Park was doing fucking everything, and that was like Headless Horseman in Sleepy Hollow. You know.
Yeah.
He was in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad film. It's just
no.
It's just for me a mixed bag.
Fair enough.
Definitely better than the film I had watched the night before.
Andrew, do you like X-Men 2000?
I'm mixed on it. I really like Professor X. I like Magneto a fair amount. Everything else is kind of me.
Huh. All right then. I do also dig James Marsden as Scott.
James Marsden is just one of those actors that you kind of forget about existing
but he's
until he shows up in something.
You know what my favorite James Marsden thing is?
What?
Hairspray.
Oh, right.
He's so good in Hairspray. I fucking love him in that.
I also, for whatever reason, keep getting Marsden and Marsters confused.
Two very different Jameses. Yeah, two very different Jameses.
Two very, very different Jameses.
Yeah. But
it's a fine movie. Yeah. I believe X2 is better from what I remember.
X2 is so good, dude. X2 is so fucking... X2 has no right being as good as it is. Like, it is so far ahead of the entire rest of that trilogy. Like, it's insane.
And then X-Men 3: The Last Stand.
I don't want to hear a peep out of you, Andrew.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. I guess that about does it. That about does it. We made it through our third Marvel episode and our first ever X-Men coverage, which is so cool to see.
I'm so happy. Our next episode, of course, will be Volume 2.
Yes, Volume 2, which is Uncanny X-Men numbers 101 to 110. So we're covering 10 issues next time.
Technically not Uncanny yet, just the
not
X-Men.
Uncanny. See, here's the thing, though. The little Stanley Presents blurb says the Uncanny X-Men. So it works still. It works. But yeah, let's start closing this thing out. Andrew, I forgot to ask you before we started recording. Do you have anything to promote at all? If not, it's fine. But I just figured I'd ask. No. Okay, cool. Thanks for coming on. It means a lot.
It was fun as usual.
Yeah. You're always a very present part of the podcast because,
and we're
aside from guessing, you ask questions on pretty much every episode, which is nice. I always love hearing from you.
You will be back next time as long as schedules can line up because scheduling can be fun.
Absolutely. But yeah, we will endeavor. I think honestly, our 10 episode Marvel block is gonna have some our most guests in a row, close to
the amount of people we know who are Marvel fans,
or who at least are actively interested in reading Marvel, as is the case with an upcoming guest we have in the not too distant future. So, a lot of cool things in store for us in the future. As always, I'll leave our link trees in the description below. Mine and Jacob's; those will be down there. Follow us on Twitter, wherever the fuck, whatever else we have down there, they're all there.
I'm on Blue Sky now.
You are on Blue Sky. I am not, because I really just don't care enough to be on Blue Sky.
Well, if you'd like an invite, I can get you an invite.
I'm sure you can, and I'm sure I'll care enough someday. Check those out. As always, like I said, I'll leave the books that we covered on this, and we're covering next time in the description below as Amazon links. That'll all be there. Otherwise, Jacob, I know you have your blog. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. By the time that this comes out, I will be just finishing up my big RTD reviews. The weekend, I believe, the weekend after this comes out, I will be doing The End of Time, and I will have reviewed all of Eccleston's television stories and all of Tennant's television stories.
I wish you the best of luck, good sir. I wish you.
I will say these last couple of weeks have been. This last week has been especially tough because it's Next Doctor and Planet of the Dead.
at the time of recording, you've got Waters of Mars up next. So
and I'm doing the novelization too. So
nice, very cool, very cool.
Because yes,
I've also on your blog, I've gotten you to read some Star Wars recently, which is
you have. I've done 2 High Republic books. One that was okay, the other one that was fairly solid. And I will be continuing Star Wars stuff at some point in the future, but there's not really a set plan for that. It's
just kind of whatever. We're doing these like book swaps, so it's cool. It's fun. It's a good time.
Also, Star Trek reviews.
Star Trek reviews. Yeah, check out his Star Trek reviews, and conversely, also not conversely, I guess in tandem, check out my my Star Trek videos with my brother. We're watching through Star Trek for the first time. At the time of this coming out, we have just released the Omega Glory.
You've told me to gird my loins for that one.
Oh man, oh man. I don't even know what else to say. It's going to exist. But yeah, that's coming out, or has come out actually. Also on the channel, towards the end of this month, coming up in the very near future, we have the next episode of Breaking Brian coming out, covering Better Call Saul season 4. We're nearing the end of all that, so that's been very fun.
We have a special treat because
we do in the week between our X-Men episodes, we have a bonus episode coming up. Do we want to say what that is, or will people have known what that is already? I don't know.
Well, this
are we doing a Q&A for that? We haven't decided anything for this.
We haven't decided this. Well, we have the 2 special things. Well, first off, this is our last episode before we've reached our 2-year anniversary of doing Fresh Face Comics.
2 years of Fresh Face Comics.
So we're doing something special to celebrate that, and then we are also doing, a bonus episode that you may have seen.
You may have seen something about. I don't know if we're doing a Q&A for that yet.
We haven't decided yet.
There's a bonus episode coming out between this episode and the next X-Men episode on the Monday in between those. So be sure to check that out when that comes out. It's not on adapted material for once. We're talking about a comic that I've never read before, but Jacob has. It's fucking crazy, and we're also getting a guest on that. It's going to be super fucking awesome.
A guest who we were hoping to get on for quite who's been a potential guest for a while.
Yeah,
so happy to have them on.
Yes, very much so. So that'll be super, super exciting. But yeah, that'll be coming out next Monday, and actually the day right after will be the official 2-year anniversary of Fresh Face Comics. It's Halloween because we started the podcast with the long Halloween. So that'll be when the special video releases. So be on the lookout for all of that.
Also,
we have so many cool things coming up. What's up?
One shots. We have
one shots. Yes, be sure to check out One Shots.
What number are we on? Around 7?
7.
6?
Coming up on 7. So 7 just released earlier this month.
So it should be out on the channel already.
Yep. And coming out soon, we have Brave and the Bold number 6 and Wonder Woman number 2, which is very cool. Check those out. We have such a great rotation of one shots that we're covering. And I'm just, oh man, it's awesome. It's really, really great stuff. So yeah.
Yes. So that's all.
That's that. Wow. That's a lot. We have so many things happening.
So as always.
Wow. As always. Rate us, subscribe wherever you're listening to us. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe to Blood Note Studios, whatever you're listening to us on. Any and all support means the absolute world to us. 2 years of the podcast, it has been absolutely insane, and the continued growing support means the absolute world. So I think that does it, doesn't it?
Yes, that does it.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming on once more.
And I'm very excited to have you back potentially next time, as long as our schedules work out.
Indeed. So absolutely. So I guess until next time, this has been Joey Morgan
and Jacob Licklider.
Andrew.
Goodbye.